Our next speaker is leading growth product marketing at Lovable, where she doesn't just market the product, she builds with it. She's already created internal tools that became company-wide sources of truth and has helped small team operate like 1.5 times its size. Please welcome Johanna Ydergård. Welcome.
Hello, SaaSiest. It's amazing to be here, and I would love to start with a question. So who here knows what Lovable is? Raise your hands. A lot of people. Who has tried to build something with Lovable? Also a lot of people. Amazing. So a year ago, I was sitting in the audience just like you guys. I was the CMO of a B2B SaaS company, and we had a good product, a decent team, very limited resources, and something that struck me as a marketer is how much you need to wait for others to get your job done. So there are so many good ideas that go die in someone else's backlog. And this is really frustrating. And since I started Lovable half a year ago, I've experienced something very different. This type of waiting for things to happen doesn't really exist to the same degree. And that's something that I would like to talk about today. It's not because we have unlimited resources or we're a massive team by any means. It's really a difference in the way we think and operate. So I think one of the biggest opportunities for companies in this room right now is to close the gap between having an idea or finding a problem and solving it, acting on that problem. At most companies, this gap is filled with tickets and approvals and waiting for others to get your job done. Whether it's an agency or it's a data analyst that's going to do the analysis you need, or it's a specialist that you need to hire as a contractor, this gap can now be closed in a different way that I've just never seen before. So I have 4 principles that I have learned at Lovable that I think that you guys can apply, really, regardless of the situation you are in. And the first one is this. So let me tell you a little story of how I got hired at Lovable. In the end of 2024, I tried Lovable, and I felt feelings that I have never felt before using software. It's like an amazing unlock of like, shit, I can do this now. I actually studied software engineering for 6 months at the university, but I've always felt like I really can't actually build things. And now I just felt like I have to work at this company. So I went out of my way to get into Lovable, to be honest. And I ended up test working at this company last summer. And it's kind of weird to test work when you have 10 years into your career as a CMO. But there I was, and they had no idea what they're going to hire me for. So I was test working for non-technical hire, which, whatever role. I got a challenge, and as I was solving that challenge, I knew they wanted me to be like hands-on and produce things to show that I can actually do something and not just sit in meetings and be CMO. So I was producing a lot of things, but I also found improvements that I thought we should make to our product. And so I went to the engineering team and said, well, I think we should improve these things. And they were like, okay, do it then. And I was like, I know you don't know what role you're hiring me for, but sure as hell it's not software engineer. So, but yeah, they handed me a computer with cursor, and I pushed code during my job interview. And I think this is highly reflective of how work is done at Lovable. Since joining, I've pushed a lot of updates to our actual product. So this is not Lovable projects, it's actual like GitHub contributions like we heard about before. And for me, working in product and product marketing and growth, this is relatively unusual. I mean, this is not impressive for an engineer, of course, but So the point of this story is not to brag about my GitHub chart. It's more that it reflects a lot how Lovable thinks about work. And how we think about work is essentially the instinct is never that it's someone else's problem. And the instinct is always that you see a problem, you have a tool, and you're going to solve it. And AI is what, of course, enables that kind of mindset. It expands to absolutely everything, so everyone builds their own things. For example, we had an issue with engineering going crazy and just shipping too many things. So things reached the market before marketing was aware. And this has never been a problem for me before. It's a very good problem to have, but we had to solve it somehow. So I built this tool that essentially connects to our linear and shows all the linear projects on a visual timeline so that we can have a half-hour sync with product every week to just say what here deserves a marketing moment and what can you go ship on socials yourself. Because we're not going to be picky about what engineers go and do. Things happen too fast for us to be gatekeepers. So we're going to gatekeep the really big things, but the small things can just float. We also, another example, we had a really bad kind of blog CMS that was open source. Any other normal company would probably go and procure a CMS here, but we spent I think 3 hours just rebuilding it on Lovable instead, which was, well, of course we did in Lovable. You could pick your weapon, do in whatever tool, but now we have a CMS working exactly like we want it to, and everyone can push a blog in seconds. Something else that really matters in order to close this gap between an idea and being able to act on it is having access to good data. And most companies actually have operational data available to employees, right? But it's usually a pain to access. So either you know SQL, or you have a data analyst, or you have to go dig in the data yourself. You have static dashboards, whatever. And I think some of you are also using more AI-enabled tools right now that maybe have a chat to it and stuff. There are a lot of different ways to solve this. At Lovable, we have a bot or an agent, I guess, that's built on Lovable, of course. That's called LoveSite. LoveSite lives directly in your Slack conversations. So if you're having a debate on, did this campaign work well, you can just add LoveSite and ask it for more information. It gets all the context of the whole conversation. It has access to all pieces of operational data like product metrics, conversion data, feature adoption, campaign performance, anything we want really. And this enables people to make decisions faster and better. We have a similar bot called LoveMike, the naming here. And that allows us to talk to our sales transcripts, but also to interview transcripts with other users. And for me as a marketer, that's very useful to be able to understand how users and people talk about our product, what words do they use, and so on, when crafting messaging, for example. And when you have access to this type of data very openly, we have 2 open channels where everyone posts their questions, so you can see what everyone else asks. So you can jump into each other's chats, like here, Rich jumped into my chat of our top 5 churn reasons, and we started discussing some ideas on what we could do to improve it. So it's enables a kind of cross-pollination that I think is really interesting. And LoveMike got over 1,000 questions over last month within the company, so it's extremely highly adopted. But when you have these tools, you're also going to have a little bit of fun with it. So someone asked who at Lovable is the rudest when talking to Lovable. So I think it's worrying how much LoveSite seem to enjoy this question. But yeah, and I'm not going to tell you who that was. Okay. What about quality then? If we give people the tools to build things, we give people the data to make quick decisions, how do we actually make sure that things aren't just average? I think AI has enabled us to step outside our roles and do things we have never done before, but to do it with average quality. And the really interesting question here, I think, is how to not be average. Both with and without AI. So I've been thinking about where good ideas really come from as a human. And I think good ideas and novel ideas come from events like this. We hear things, we connect dots with our reality and what a person is saying, we make connections that you maybe haven't done before, and something kind of novel exists. And this is not unique to humans. I think AI can do the same, as long as it has the context to build those kind of connections. So a story about this kind of cross-pollination that needs to exist is our data lead was teaching me how to use Claude Code to do deep campaign analysis. And as she was showing me how you could use this team of agents in Claude Code, I was thinking, well, we should be able to do right SEO content with this type of approach. And that's how Love Editorial was built, another love name. And the whole premise here is that there is a team of agents that collaborate to reach a certain goal, which is now to write SEO content. And without going into detail, the whole premises behind it, why it produces above average content, is because it has the context to be able to do so. It has access to BigQuery and a specific table with allowed data. It has access to our messaging house, our tone of voice, and so it can actually produce something that is unique to our context without just producing firm slop. This also applies to how we do launches. I'm building out sort of a launch machine, given that we have a lot going on. And the principle here is to connect every launch to absolutely every single piece of context that is relevant. So engineering tickets, internal docs, Slack messages, everything that could be relevant to tell someone in the team what we are going to launch. And then I keep two things deliberately very human, and that is to talk to users and understand what resonates with them, and then write one document of like 2 pages of very short messaging. What are we going to tell the market, and why is this going to resonate with them? And that, along with the core creative of how are we going to get this make this come alive in like video or whatever, that we keep human. And then if you have the core messaging documents, it's surprisingly easy to create high quality output from that in terms of, well, email sequencing or in-product messaging or draft blog posts or whatever. So I think this is currently a combination between sort of the human and AI, giving AI really rich context. I think all these things probably sound good, but then there's also some issues that come with this, of course. Like if you let everyone just go crazy, you're going to have a bit of duplication of work. There are going to be a lot of different apps doing the same thing. Also, brand is hard to sort of keep control over, as everyone is creating their own assets, their own landing pages or whatnot. So I mean, Dave was talking about taste not being human, but I think currently taste and brand is one of the things we should be spending time on right now. And I think giving people the tools and the trust to build things, it's going to give you speed, but you need a certain level of candor as well to get to the quality. And I think this is an interesting thing that I've observed at Lovable. Why does it not break our brand to let every single person just build whatever? It's because of pretty much a very opinionated brand team that are also allowed to go out and say, you did that, that's not good, this is how we're going to do it instead. And people are very open to receiving that feedback as well. So I think it's like a cultural thing where you give a brand more power, and you give them the power to say no after the fact. It's not really a gatekeeping conversation. It's more of like keep the bar really high and revert when necessary. To close this off, I created my own little framework. So you know Maslow's pyramid. We've got the very basic things on the bottom, and then we've got some kind of self-actualization on the top. I think we're reaching some kind of marketing self-actualization right now. So as we kind of increasingly can automate all the things on the bottom, operational and admin-related things, but also making decisions, actually executing on them, production of more simple assets. I think what's left for humans, or where we should actually focus right now, this is a very current point of view, is guarding our brand and also making sure that we create like interesting assets for the market. So I think we as a company are investing heavily in like designers and brand and thinking about how we can show up and make the Lovable brand stronger. And if there are any CFOs in the audience, where do I have you? Any CFOs? No one? Oh. I haven't heard a single CFO saying the brand is their favorite cost center, but I don't know. But yeah, it's obviously the hardest thing to attribute to any sort of success, but I do think that where to spend our human time right now is very much on the brand side. Okay, so we got 4 things that I think you should bring with you. Let everyone build and also build outside their role. Give both humans and AI access to insights and to be able to connect the dots to produce above average content. And set a really high bar for brand, but don't gatekeep it. And I think the only thing that stands between you and having this idea and being able to execute on it, it's not really technology. It's more kind of assumptions around what people are supposed to do and who is supposed to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. And I just have time for one quick question. I'm just wondering, what has been the biggest shift within you being able to start to work like this?
I mean, I feel such an unlock because I've been spending my day sitting in meetings pretty much as a CMO, trying to coordinate between other people, getting other people to do things. And now I just can just do things.
Yeah.
And I think everyone at Lovable feels that way. You're just unleashed to do whatever you want. And when no one says no, when you have an idea, you're like, what? Oh, I can actually, okay, I'm going to do that. So I think that's so liberating and something that others can just go do as well, to be honest.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge, Johanna.
Thank you.